it's me, but there has been a lot of talk about parasites recently. And I feel like so many are waking up to the fact that most everyone has parasites. It just kind of depends on what kind and how many. And so there's this question of, well, how do I get rid of these things? So I wanted to just do a little short video on how do you actually detox parasites. And this is something that can really seem overwhelming. And so oftentimes maybe people do research and then they just try to do this on their own. And sometimes it just backfires. So I wanted to give you a little bit of information in case you do want to try and do this on your own so that you can have a great success rate and not have some of the, bad side effects that you can get if things aren't open and working properly for them to actually get out. So that's kind of my first point is when you think about detoxing parasites, you have to make sure that if you kill them off by taking some sort of like anti-parasitic supplement, that they're going to have a way to get out. Super, super, super important because this is really how people get bad side effects. Maybe it's headaches, maybe it's flu-like symptoms. There's so many different things that can come up when you kill off parasites and they really don't have anywhere to go. So if you think about the body's drainage funnel, at the bottom of that funnel is the colon. And so if you are not pooping I would say at least 2 times a day. Really, if you're going to kill off parasites, you need to be pooping about 3 times a day. Then you may have some unwanted symptoms. So that is the first place I would try to really focus if I was going to start detoxing parasites. Because again, if you start killing off these things and they don't have anywhere to go, that's when you're going to get some of the unwanted symptoms. And really, if you think about it, you're stirring up stuff. Especially if you think about, we need to break biofilms, which is this it's kind of a sticky substance that parasites and different bacteria and such, they create. It's like little pockets that they can hide in because, of course, they want to stay alive. And so to detox or kill off parasites, you have to break up the biofilm. So we're going to get to that. But whenever you start breaking up this biofilm and releasing all of these things, it can really cause a lot of issues. I've just had some people that had severe brain fog because if you think about you're stirring up all this and it goes, your body wants to get rid of it. And so it's going to hide it in tissues. It's going to try to get it away from your organs so that things still work properly in your body, right? Your body is wired for survival. And so there's just a lot of things that can happen if they can't properly get out. So that's the first thing I would be making sure I was pooping regularly. And, I'm actually going to share in the description of this video a great download that I have created, a short little ebook that is going to help you address drainage pathways. And so that's a great little free resource I have for you. If you really want to look to do this on your own, I actually run some full moon cleanses. I'm going to tell you what that is in just a minute, about once every quarter. And so this is something that I like to give people to just help them on their way so that maybe these drainage pathways are opened up so that whenever you start killing these things off, they can get out. So that's number one. But really, if you think about getting rid of parasites, obviously we have to kill them off and get them out. And so most of the time, detoxing parasites will be gone about in a way of taking some type of supplement that has an anti-parasitic effect to it. And so, of course, I always like to go the natural route. So having things like tinctures and supplements that contain anti-parasitic herbs is the best way to go. Now, you can enhance this process by adding in some essential oils that are really anti-parasitic, but I really love to use these products because they kind of come at killing off parasites and getting them out of your body in a couple of different ways. And so that's what you want to think about. How are you going to go about detoxing parasites? Because here's what I was going to mention to you. The full moon cleanse is something that you may or may not have heard of. A full moon cleanse is simply utilizing the time when parasites are most active, which is around a full moon because of the changes in serotonin and melatonin. It's going to make the parasites more active because they feed on these things, which sounds kind of like, ugh, but it's just the way it is. And so detoxing them, getting rid of them, killing them off when they're most active just makes sense. And so some people do full moon cleanses. They can do maybe a few of those and they pass a lot of parasites. Other people are really going to need more of a month, 2 months, maybe even 3 months of really kind of more in-depth, not necessarily in-depth as far as a high dosage, but maybe more of a pulse type dosaging, where you go a little bit higher dosaging, but you only do it for a couple weeks and then you give your body a rest. Or could be just for a month, you're going to take X amount of supplements for the same dose that entire month. So it can be done a little bit differently, but it kind of just depends on what your signs and symptoms are. So this is where it might get a tiny bit tricky, because if you don't really know, you can try doing a full moon cleanse just to see what happens, see how you feel before, during, after. And it can be, though, a little bit tricky to kind of see what is best. And so you can definitely try it on your own. I would encourage you to do that. Just make sure that your drainage pathways are flowing, especially your colon. That's super, super important. But this is really where some working with a practitioner could come in. Maybe you've tried some of these things and you're still not feeling better. You're still not really seeing much progress with that. You might want to work with a practitioner to really look to see what's going on more at a root cause level. Not that parasites can't be a root cause, but oftentimes there's other things going on too. And so that's going to be something to where you can come up more with a roadmap as far as, this is what I'm going to do for months 1 and 2, and then I'm going to swap it up and do something different for a few months, and then just kind of go down and really peel back the layers. Because if you think about parasites often harbor a lot of other bacteria and fungus and even heavy metals, things like that. Mold can often be in just these sacks of biofilm. And so you want to make sure you address parasites first, and then you address things like mold, heavy metals, Lyme disease, things like that. So it's just something that you want to think about in what your approach is going to be. And so if that sounds more like, yes, I want somebody to help me with that, I would love to do a case study on you. And I love having this approach, taking this approach to when somebody comes to me and says, can you help me with this issue? I want to gather all the pieces and I want to just put them together and see what the information is telling us. And so that's exactly what I do in a case study approach. And so I'm actually going to put a previous case study that I did in the description below. So if you'd like to check that out, please feel free to do that. Send me any questions if you have them. I'm also going to put the information for you to join me on my next full moon protocol. There's a full moon every month, so you could totally do this whenever you wanted to. But like I said, I run guided full moon cleanses about once a quarter. So at the time of this recording, my next one is in June 2022, but you can always get on the email list, which is going to, I'm going to have the link for that in the description. And then you can be notified whenever we are going to do a guided one, or you can just take the resources that I give you and do it whenever you'd like. So hopefully this has helped, because I know this can be a little bit confusing, but I want to give you options so that you can see what is going to be best for you. Let me know if you have any questions at all, and I'll see you guys on the next video.